Hey, 7th graders, we are starting expressions, equations, and inequalities. The next unit, we have a couple terms that we need to look at before we start that unit. So the first one is like terms. Like terms are terms that either both have the same letter or they don't have any letter at all. Okay, so let's write that down. Both have the same letter, and the technical word for a letter is a variable. So they either both have the same variable or no variable at all. Okay, a couple of examples of that would be just like the numbers, just regular numbers, 2 and 3. Those would be like terms, neither of them have a letter, so you could just add those together. 2 plus 3 is 5. Or if you had 4x plus 2x, they both have the same letter x, you could add those together. Those are like terms. Or if you had, let's say we have 2a plus 3b plus a. Now the like terms would be the a's because they have the same letter. Then the 3b would be by itself because there's no other b's. So we could simplify that, add the 2a and the a. 2 and 1 makes 3, so it'll be 3a, and then the 3b just stays alone. That's all the farther we could simplify that, adding like terms together. Okay? Unlike terms would be they have different letters. So terms with different letters or different variables. So we already looked at an example of that here. 3a and 3b are unlike terms. They have different letters or different variables, so they cannot be combined together. Another example would be 2x plus 4y. Okay, they have different letters, different variables. They cannot be combined or simplified any farther. If we had 4x plus 2y plus x plus 3y, now there's some things we could combine. Like terms would be 4x and x, and then 2y and 3y. We could combine those together. 4 and 1 makes 5, 5x. 2 and 3 makes 5, 5y. Now the 5x and the 5y are unlike terms. They have different letters. They can't be combined or simplified any farther, so that would be our answer in this expression if we were simplifying. Just 5x plus 5y. Okay, operations with like and unlike terms. We've looked at adding already. If you're adding or subtracting, they have to be like terms. So let's say adding or subtracting must be like terms. If you are multiplying or dividing, then they don't have to be like terms. Okay, let's look at an example of that. So up here we had the adding and subtracting. We could not add the 4x and the 2y because they're unlike terms. You can't do that. Okay, but we could add the 4x and the x to get 5x. So when we're adding or subtracting, they must be like terms. So that'd be the same if we had 6b minus 2b. They have the same letter, they're like terms, so we could subtract those. 6 minus 2 is 4. That would just give us 4b. Okay? When we're multiplying or dividing, though, they don't have to be like terms. So I could have 2 parenthesis 4x. So 2 times 4x. The 2 does not have an x, but the 4 does. They're unlike terms, but actually we can still multiply those. Because all that's saying is that we have more 4x's. We have 2 4x's, which would just give us 8x. Okay? Or we could do something like 10x divided by 5. Even though 10 has an x and 5 doesn't, we can still divide those. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and that becomes 2x. Because again, you're just taking 10 x's and putting them in groups of 5. Well, how many groups of 5 would there be? There would be 2 groups of 5, so it would just be 2x. Okay? So the key is remembering adding and subtracting, they must be like terms in order to simplify, in order to combine them together. Multiplying and dividing, they do not have to be like terms. And you'll see all of this coming through in the distributive property, where we take those rules and then we put them into action when we distribute. Okay? So I'm going to erase all of this so I have more room to write, and then we'll talk about the distributive property. Okay? Distributive property is when you have to, whatever is on the outside of the parentheses, you're going to multiply by everything on the inside. Okay? So let's write that down. Multiply everything on the inside by the number on the outside. Okay, so let's take a look at an example of that. If we have 2 times x plus 4, we're going to take everything on the inside times what's on the outside. So I always like to draw these arrows like this, so I know exactly what I need to multiply together. So 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, I used the operations of multiplying, so they did not have to be like terms. But now I'm to addition. Now, if I want to add them, they do have to be like terms. These are not like terms because 2 has an x and 8 doesn't. So we just leave it as 2x plus 8. That's all the farther we can go in simplifying that. Okay, let's take a look at one more. If I have 4 times 3x plus 2 plus y, now I'm going to have to take that 4 on the outside. It has to be multiplied by everything on the inside. So 4 times 3x is 12x. When I multiply, they don't have to be like terms. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times y is just going to be 4y. It's really a 1y, so 4 times 1 is 4, and then we put the y on the end, okay? Now we can combine like terms. We're adding, so is there anything we can put together? We have an x. Are there any other x's? Nope. We have just a regular number. Any other numbers? Just plain numbers? No. We have a 4y. Any other terms with y? Nope. So all we can do is 12x plus 8 plus 4y. Okay, let's look at one with subtraction. If I have 5 times 2x minus 3, again, I will multiply what's on the outside by everything on the inside. 5 times 2 is 10. Don't forget the x. 5 times, now this is going back to our addition and subtraction rules from way at the beginning of the year. This is a minus 3, but really that's a plus negative 3. Okay? So that is a negative 3 is the key. So 5 times negative 3, a positive times a negative makes a negative, so that becomes a negative 15. So 10x plus negative 15, we're adding and subtracting, so are there any like terms we can put together? There are not, because 10 has an x and 15 doesn't. So then our final answer is just 10x plus negative 15. You could also write it as 10x minus 15. Both of those would be correct. But for simplifying, it's easier if we put that negative in parentheses. Okay? Those are the terms you need starting off this year.